The Little Rabbit Who Wanted Red Wings. Once upon a time, there was a little white rabbit who had everything that should have made him happy. He had 2 beautiful long pink ears, 2 bright red eyes, and 4 soft little feet. He was such a pretty little white rabbit. But despite all of these lovely features, he wasn't happy. This little white rabbit had a peculiar desire. He wanted to be someone else rather than the nice little rabbit that he was. Every time he saw other animals, he wished he could be more like them. When Mr. Bushy Tail, the gray squirrel, scampered by, the little white rabbit would sigh and say to his mother, "Oh, Mummy, I wish I had a long gray tail like Mr. Bushy Tail's." When Mr. Porcupine waddled past with his spiky back, the little white rabbit would groan, "Oh, Mummy, I wish I had a back full of bristles like Mr. Porcupine's." And when Miss Puddle-Duck strolled by in her 2 little red rubbers, the little white rabbit's eyes would widen with envy, and he would exclaim, "Oh, Mummy, I wish I had a pair of red rubbers like Miss Puddle-Duck's." This continued day after day, with the little white rabbit constantly wishing to be something he was not. His mother, although patient and loving, grew quite tired of hearing all his wishes. One day, old Mr. Groundhog, who was known to be very wise, overheard the little white rabbit's lamentations. "Why do you keep wishing to be something you're not?" asked old Mr. Groundhog. The little white rabbit explained his longings, and Mr. Groundhog thought for a moment. Then, with a twinkle in his eye, he said, "Why don't you go down to the wishing pond? If you look at yourself in the water and turn around 3 times in a circle, you will get your wish." The little white rabbit was thrilled at the prospect of finally becoming what he desired. He eagerly thanked Mr. Groundhog and dashed off to find the wishing pond. When he arrived, he peered into the still water and saw his own reflection looking back at him. He then turned around 3 times in a circle, just as old Mr. Groundhog had instructed. Suddenly, he felt a strange sensation. He looked at himself in the water again and gasped in astonishment. His wish had come true. He had the long gray tail of Mr. Bushy Tail, the bristly back of Mr. Porcupine, and the little red rubbers of Miss Puddle-Duck. He was ecstatic and couldn't wait to show his new look to his mother and friends. But as he began to hop back home, he found it difficult to move with the heavy tail, the prickly back, and the awkward rubbers. The other animals, who had once admired him, now stared in confusion and amusement. The little white rabbit quickly realized that having all these new features was not as wonderful as he had imagined. He missed being his simple, nimble self. When he finally reached home, his mother looked at him with a mix of concern and understanding. "Oh, Mummy," he said, his voice full of regret, "I wish I could be just a little white rabbit again." His mother hugged him gently and said, "Sometimes we don't realize how special we are until we try to be something we're not." At that moment, old Mr. Groundhog appeared again and, seeing the little white rabbit's distress, whispered some magical words. Instantly, the little white rabbit was back to his original self, with his long pink ears, bright red eyes, and soft little feet. From that day on, the little white rabbit never wished to be anyone else. He learned to appreciate his own unique qualities and was happier than ever. And whenever he saw Mr. Bushy Tail, Mr. Porcupine, or Miss Puddle-Duck, he admired them for who they were, but he was content to be himself.